Do you remember how quickly things changed in 2020? There was no one in the office. The school shut down. All of a sudden, your couch turned into your office, school, and gym all at the same time. We had to stay home and figure out how to live our lives through a screen. Zoom then flew in like a superhero, and no one saw it coming like a wave. Before 2020, Zoom was like that quiet kid in school who all of a sudden became king of the prom. A lot of people had never heard of it, but after a few weeks, it was everywhere. The most common phrase in those days was, "You're on mute." But how did Zoom originate? Well, Eric Yuan is the guy behind this creation. Eric Yuan was just another engineer in the early 2000s who was fed up with his job. He came to Silicon Valley from China with one simple goal in mind: to make tools that helped people meet. But his job at WebEx, which was one of the biggest video conferencing companies at the time, was hard. People would complain about the same things every day. Screens that wouldn't respond, audio that was all jumbled, and meetings that felt more like tech support nightmares than talks. He was sure there was a better way. He would tell his bosses about ideas like faster links and smoother interfaces, but the company moved slowly. After that, he would say, "People don't need more features. They need something that just works." Then something happened that made everything different. Eric's son, who was in middle school at the time, got home from school one day and was very angry about his online class. The video would drop out. The voice of the teacher went away. Eric knew right away that the problem wasn't just with business talks. If even kids didn't like video calls, it was about connecting with other people. In 2011, Eric did something terrible. He was 41 years old. Leaving his stable job, he got a group of engineers who shared his idea and began Zoom. Not in a fancy office, but in a small space in Silicon Valley that smelled like old coffee and desire. He made his pitch sound so easy. Let's make it as simple as clicking a link to make a video call. No downloads. There are no silly options. You can talk with just one click. It made investors scratch their heads. Other competitors smiled. There were already a lot of video conferencing apps out there, so why would anyone want another one? But Eric's group had a secret weapon. They were the ones who used the broken tools. They were aware of the pain points. A teacher's wife of an engineer had trouble with bad software during parent-teacher talks. Someone else couldn't connect to family calls with their grandma in Taiwan. When Zoom first came out, it wasn't made for CEOs or IT teams. Rather, Zoom's target customers were common people, like teachers, grandparents, and small business owners. Zoom didn't become a huge hit right away when it came out in 2013. Their growth was steady and slow. Because her students couldn't figure out how to use Skype, a college professor in Ohio started using it for virtual office hours. At one point, a therapist in Texas moved to Zoom for remote sessions because the video quality felt less robotic. Some yoga teachers also joined, holding $5 online classes for stay-at-home moms. Zoom's team was happy about every little win. They would gather around a laptop to read customer emails. For example, one was from a woman who used Zoom to watch her sister's wedding from a hospital bed, and another was from a dad who finally saw his baby smile while on business. By 2019, Zoom was doing very well. It wasn't a well-known brand, but 10 million people used it every day. Most of them were schools, small businesses, and families traveling across the country. Eric still coded sometimes, and to fix bugs, he would sneak into the engineering chat rooms without being seen. He was very strict with how he ran the business because it was his baby. There were no flashy ads or viral marketing tricks. He was just focused on his vision, that was, to make something simple. But the year 2020 changed everything. Before, Zoom's office was a calm place where engineers sipped lattes. Suddenly, it became a 24/7 war room. At night, Eric Yuan slept only about 3 hours because his phone was always buzzing with messages. The servers were getting heated up. There were a lot of customer service tickets, like snowdrifts. Later, one worker made a joke. While the water was still running, we went from fixing a leaky faucet to rebuilding the plumbing for a whole city. One of the first people to freak out was a teacher. A Chicago high school biology teacher emailed Zoom in a panic. "My students can't get into our virtual lab. They are yelling in the chat." The Zoom team found a bug that took people off of talks after 40 minutes. It hadn't been a problem for months because most talks were short. Now the schools were happening on school, and that too for the whole day. It took engineers all night to fix it, with food delivery and Red Bull to keep them going. The trolls then showed up. When a Seattle book club logged on to talk about a mystery book, they found a stranger playing loud heavy metal music. Aussie middle school math class was hacked with racist jokes. When people started calling it Zoom bombing, Zoom went from being a hero to a bad guy. The news was full of stories about private problems. It was banned in schools. Eric apologized in public, and it was clear that he was tired. He said it straight out: "We messed up. So, we only will make it right." The best part is they stood by what they committed. There were changes faster than anyone thought possible thanks to Zoom's security team, who were working from their living rooms. There were now virtual places to wait. Passwords came into existence, a big red security button for calls. However, there was still a huge pressure on Zoom as Microsoft and Google gave away their own video tools because they thought there might be money in them. Executives at Zoom were scared that once the pandemic was over, everyone would leave. But teachers kept picking Zoom because of its group rooms. Therapists kept doing it because the "touch up my appearance" filter made clients who were feeling vulnerable feel safer. Late-night shows like Jimmy Fallon used it to talk to famous people while they were still in their pajamas. Zoom's quirks made them cute. Let me take a break and inform you that we have created an ebook for the top 100 businesses that you can start this year, and we will give away this ebook for free. Just comment down on our video and I will share the link to download it. Let's get back to the video. By summer, something strange had happened. People were not only using Zoom, they lived their lives through it. A woman in India streamed her wedding to 200 family members around the world. In Brazil, a man with terminal cancer met his new child through an iPad that a nurse had. People who work at Zoom read these stories on their shifts that ended at midnight and stuck the copies to their walls. "This is why we don't sleep" was written by one. 300 million daily users and skyrocketing stock prices were a lot to take in, but Eric kept his team focused on the little things. An email from a single mom about her child's graduation. A doctor's call for better closed captions for people who are deaf. See, this is how Zoom became a beloved platform. They didn't throw random features on users. They listened to what users want and then acted upon it. One patch and one pixel at a time, Zoom wasn't just getting bigger, it was becoming more human. By the middle of 2020, Zoom was in a battle between David and Goliath. Tech giants like Microsoft and Google backed competing apps like Teams and Meet by putting them together with well-known ones like Gmail and Office 365. It looked like an easy choice for many businesses to switch. But Zoom had till then created a place in people's heart. Let me tell you a little secret. The business teams quietly liked Zoom better. A Fortune 500 company project manager said, "Even though we pay a lot of money for Teams, my team still Zooms. When you switch from a stiff suit to sweats, you just work better." Zoom's forte wasn't fancy technology. As a nurse was juggling a baby, tapping the space bar to unmute helped her calm down. The "touch up my appearance" filter also helped her calm down. After that, the shocks began. Through virtual backgrounds, messy living rooms could be turned into warm getaways. The Spotlight feature, which was meant for boardrooms, was a big hit at Brooklyn Zoom comedy nights. People all over the world were using this feature in poetry reading sessions, in long-distance birthday celebrations, and everything. Everyone could see Zoom has won this battle, but the giants were not ready to accept it. Microsoft made Teams cheaper for their users. Meet was well free from Google. Looking at these moves, analysts claim that Zoom will soon lose its popularity. Zoom had no plans to go lose their charm. Zoom again started looking into what people would like more. Hence, based on their research, Zoom began with end-to-end security because therapists asked for it. It got better after a deaf student's plea went viral. They added spots for sign language interpreters, which is mind-blowing. And when teens on TikTok started sharing Zoom hacks that let them host fake vacations with green screens, the app became a big deal. Zoom brunch lessons were given by grandmothers. Comedians who do stand-up sold tickets online. Zoom wasn't just getting by, it was living on fan support. Before we find out what happened to Zoom, post-2022, just wanted to say that if you are liking this video so far, you can leave a like for our efforts. That will mean a lot to us and gives us motivation to keep making such videos. Back to what Zoom had planned for the next year. 2022 brought brand new realization for Zoom. That is, mixed work wasn't a trend. It was the way things would be in the future. Even though the offices were open again, no one wanted to follow the old rules. Employees wanted more freedom. Parents had to leave work to pick up their kids from school. Quietly, introverts were happy to skip crowded journeys. The title of pandemic app was not enough for Zoom. It had to grow into something deeper and more important. Post-pandemic was a whole new world, so people were facing new kind of problem. For instance, a project manager in Toronto had an issue that half of his team works from office and the other half worked from home. He expected from Zoom to figure out a way that their employees who are working from home should not feel like a ghost. Zoom's answer to this was Smart Gallery, a tool that used AI to show employees in the office as separate tiles so that employees working from home could read their facial expressions. A teacher asked for better whiteboard tools, and a few weeks later, Zoom Whiteboard came out, letting kids draw equations live while their cursors danced like fireflies. How can a good story be written without a plot twist? People started complaining that when you look at two screens back to back, you get Zoom fatigue, which makes you feel tired. Zoom took the problem straight on. Teachers could now see their students' work without having to stare at their faces in focus mode. They worked with Oculus to test VR meetings where models could walk to coffee stations in the virtual world. Wow, this is something out of the world. Zoom's biggest risk was getting bigger than a movie square. They soon bought a company called Solvvy, was bought so that they could make chatbots for customer service better. They put out Zoom Phone, a cloud-based phone system that could send calls to your smart fridge, your laptop, or even your car. You might be thinking Zoom might be on ninth cloud after such growth. Competitors like Slack and Microsoft Teams built video calls into their apps, making them one-stop shops. There was an expected chaos. How did Zoom react to it? Well, do you know? There is a market called Zoom Apps that lets people add tools like Asana or Dropbox to talks. Users can change something in a worksheet while in a meeting, or give someone work to do without having to switch tabs. The real test came when Gen Z came into the picture. Teenagers who had grown up with Zoom schools got their first jobs and wanted apps that were as easy to use as TikTok. Zoom responded with tools like speech highlights that included meeting summaries made by AI, and real-time translation for more than 30 languages. It helped people do great in a job interview with a German company. Zoom's story isn't just about code or stock prices, it's also about how people change in beautiful and messy ways. We use the line, "Let's Zoom," all the time, just like Google it or Photoshop that. This is a quiet sign of how deeply the app has become a part of our lives. People in medical fields now say things like, "Zoom in after school if you're stuck," and divorce lawyers make jokes about Zoom custody battles. The app has become more than just a tool. It's a language that everyone speaks. But there are simple truths behind the buzzwords and tactics used in the boardroom. Everything at Zoom stayed on track because Eric Yuan read user emails every morning. Like, users who work night shifts requested for dark mode so that my eyes don't get hurt. The people who work for Zoom built it in 2 weeks. People who asked for pause video buttons so they could hide the mess in their kitchen while interviewing for a job. All these queries were answered. These small changes that made a big difference were what Zoom's team called micro wins. There's also Zoom stock, which goes up and down a lot. It went through the roof like a meme coin in 2020, turning small buyers into millionaires overnight. But after the market opened again, shares fell sharply. Some people said, "Zoom's over." Still, the business kept growing in the background. Long-term partnerships were made by schools. There is Zoom built into patient care in hospitals. Even designers used it to talk about bouquets online. The craze died down, but the habit stayed. This shows that tools bought in a panic can become lasting lifelines. When Zoom bombing turned into a nightmare, Zoom didn't just fix their security holes. They paid hackers to attack their own system as a kind of digital fire drill. When people complained about Zoom fatigue, engineers added a feature called studio effects to soften the lights. This made late-night calls less like interrogations. Zoom improved the sound clarity for music as well. Now that AI and VR are changing technology, Zoom is betting that it will stay human. Their new AI companion can summarize talks, but it's also been trained to notice when someone laughs or sighs. These are just visual reminders that pixels can't replace being there. They are trying 3D avatars for VR meetings that have silly features, like being able to give each other virtual high fives. Still, the future is not clear. Can Zoom get into AI faster than its competitors? Can it stay easy even as more features are added? What's next? Zoom might go away as technology changes. It could become the quiet backbone of working together around the world. Or will it transform into something bigger? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want us to cover any particular topic, leave it in comment section and we will take it from there. Till then, you can check out our already existing gem of the videos. If you enjoyed watching the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.